Hello everyone, my name is Notepad Anon and I write games for fun. So what the hell are we doing today? Well, today we're going to be working on a... Well, we're not really going to be working on a game, we're going to be working on a new thing. Also, thanks, Judge Judy Slayer again. I don't know who you are, but you keep following and then immediately unfollowing. Cool, I guess. So, what is it? What is today? What is this thing that I'm working on? What is this horrible disaster that I have to deal with today? Well, everybody, welcome to Waifu Core. What is Waifu Core? Well, Waifu Core is what happens when Notepad drinks too much and puts can coal on his list of projects that he wants to do. And for those who don't know, for those who aren't in the know and not complete degenerates of society, Cancol, or Kantai Collection, or Azur Lane, Boat Warship Girls, all those things are part of a very odd franchise, which can roughly be summarized as ship girls. And ship girls are prevalent. Here, give me 1 second. I can pull some up. Let's just type in ship girls here. There we go. Behold, ship girls. Now, there's a lot of ship girls out there, I've learned. And I just thought it was like 2 main franchises. There's like 6. Each of them slightly different than the last. However, the big 3 are these ones. Kantai Collection, Warship Girls, and Azur Lane. Otherwise, or mostly Kantai Collection, Azur Lane, Power Gap, Warship Girls. And then there's a few other ones. Now, I'm going to bring up this character right here. Actually, give me 1 second. The HMS Hood. You know, the HMS Hood. That powerful warship belonging to the UK during World War II. Behold, it's the Hood. What, you don't think that's the HMS Hood? A British battleship, if I recall correctly. Ship girls can roughly be summarized as girls that happen to be boats or boats that happen to be girls, which like gets really confusing, and you kind of have to establish context with this. One of the big things in naval history or naval things is that boats have a feminine meaning. They are feminine. It's, oh, steady as she goes, and things like that, not steady as he goes. Why that is the case, I can't recall what the exact purpose is. It has something to do with like Lady Luck back in the day or something like. This is ancient shit. This has been around for hundreds of years. And what occurred was that, well, Japan occurred. And let me see if I can find the Kantai Collection old. Kantai Collection old. Let's see. Yeah, there's a few. Kantai Collection's been around for about 8 years now. Officially. Azur Lane's been around for 4. And mostly it's exactly what you think it is. I mean, or the Yakagi. Oh god, let's see. I wonder if I can find the original post about it. It was on K. Will it ever be able to find it? I don't think so. Actually, the bombs, they do nothing. Let's see. The bombs, they do nothing. That might help. Ah, yes. So, one of the big things is that Japan has been doing this for a while now, is that you personify ships. Personification of ships is a common thing that has been occurring for a while. It allows people to understand context. Hey, this is my ship. I love her. I think she's great and wonderful, and she will carry me to victory, or else I will fucking die. Kantai Collection, and in turn all these other games, are kind of an expression of that. In anime form. And I don't just mean anime form, I mean aggressively anime form. We go back to the HMS Hood ship girl. Of the various franchises, there are a lot. There's Warship Girls, which then there's that one. I think this is the Kantai Collection variety, the Azur Lane variety, and there's a few other ones that kind of encapsulate the same idea. But however, the main thing we will make a grandiose subject matter on it, is that they are girls who are boats. That is all I have to work with. And I thought there was going to be more going off of it. There isn't. There just fucking isn't. This is literally going to be a game about waifus. Which, after plunging the depths, I asked the outer consortium. I asked the people of 4chan, what do you people want? And the answer was that they wanted this. They wanted the Waifu Core system. Because they didn't want Kantai Collection and they didn't want Azur Lane. They wanted this. Both of them have animes. Both of them have kind of like official things about them. They are by far the most popular of the two. However, I think to encapsulate this, the difference in this, this is the Akage. You know, the Akage, you know, battle, you know, aircraft carrier of the Royal Japanese Navy, the Imperial Japanese Navy, personified here as a fox girl who can summon mystical boat planes. This is from Kankol. No, this is from Azur Lane. However, if we go here, Kantai Collection, Akagi, I wonder what's going to show up. Oh wow, look, it's an anime girl with a fuck-off bow. I think anyone with half a brain can understand that there's some slight differences in design. I want off the ride. So, after going through the entire thing, after reviewing all the notes here of what people kind of were looking for and kind of going over my own things, I managed to put together something. That being Waifu Core. Now, what is Waifu Core at its core? Well, it's a game, so the core idea of Waifu Core is effectively emulate, actually, what our main design goal with Waifu Core, our main design goal is emulate the power levels of various gacha games. Games to allow people to play their ideal waifu without compromising mechanics. Now, this is where things get complicated, because people wanted this. They wanted boat girls doing boat girl things. You're like, all right, you like literally are gliding across the water most of the time. You are engaging with giant monsters because you are a boat that handles like a boat at some times, and you have to like throw torpedoes out. Kantai Collection and Azur Lane are weird in that regard. But they also want this. They want Girls Frontline. What's Girls Frontline? Girls Frontline is... I can't literally show any of that. Okay, well, that's a UMP-45. Yeah, no, that's Girls Frontline is, instead of girls that happen to be boats, it's girls that are guns. And I just don't mean any kind of gun. I mean, let me just Google something. You know, actually, I know what we'll do. We'll do Spaz 12. I love myself some Spaz 12s. Now, this is the Spaz 12. As you can tell, she is your anime girl waifu. This is the shit I have to compromise with. This is what I have to work with. Because that's what people want. They want to be able to replicate girls that happen to be X. And kind of adapt things from there. Strict gacha, if I were to do every gacha game, that'd be impossible, because you'd have to end up encountering things like Grand Blue Fantasy. Now, Grand Blue Fantasy is also a gacha game. At its core, it is a gacha game. But at the end of the day, you can emulate this with a fantasy game relatively easy. Like, you can emulate this without too much problem. Genshin Impact, same shit, different story. It's the same thing. These aren't really going to be covered by Waifucore. However, Strike Witches. Strike Witches is a franchise about exactly what you think about. It's a franchise about girls who are planes. You may be wondering, why do they have animal ears, Notepad? And why are they wearing swimsuits? And the answer is, don't question it. Just don't fucking question it. It just works. Why are they not wearing pants? The answer is, don't question it. It's fine. We're all going to jail. That's one of the big things with this, and they're all named after various World War II aces, because it's always fucking World War II. This is what people want. Do I know how to do this? Maybe. And this is where things get a little bit more complicated. Because what people are kind of wanting more than anything is that they want Mecha Mizume. Now, Mecha Mizume is quite literally mechanical girls. That's the direct translation if you do mecha and then Muzume, which is just girls. That's what people want. However, they also want things which can roughly be summarized as thing girl, boat girl, gun girl, train girl. Like, they want thing that is not girl, but also now a girl. This is where things get very odd. Now, the goal right here is, as you can kind of tell, is to emulate the power of various gacha games to allow players to play their ideal waifu without compromising on mechanics. That is the core of it. But things are going to get a lot weirder with it. So, on my... Okay, who the fuck are you? I don't know who you are, but you're here now, I guess. Do I have you open another tab? No, I don't. So, effectively, the characters have to roll a number of dice equal to their traits and modifiers, blah, blah, blah. If we scroll down a little bit, this is what I have so far. At its core, it is going to be a dice pool system. However, it's also going to be a roll and keep system. So, I'm going to take out my dice here real fast. Currently, I have it as a D8 system. So I'm going to get my D8s out here. I actually stocked up a little bit ahead of time, so I knew I was going to be doing this. Now, I broke everyone's down to your... I love I can speak. As of right now, the character is going to be composed of their approaches, which kind of act as their attributes, which kind of act as, like, not quite attributes, but more as your, a cap of dice kept. Because this is going to be a roll and keep system, which is going to be odd because it's going to be a roll, and if we do this roll and keep dice pool system. Because as of this moment, what would be, so let's say I have 6 dice I'm rolling, and I have a 5 for my attribute. I'm going to keep 5 of my dice. So I'm going to roll all my dice. Guys score, I have an 8, I have a 6, and 3 3s. It's really convenient. With a 5, I'm going to take the 5 dice and take those. Those are mine. I don't have that last one anymore. It's just fucked. So I'm looking at this being like, okay, if I need usually it's just going to be like a 4 up is going to be your success. So I'm like, oh, cool. I have 2 6s and an 8. Cool. I just have two failures and 2 6s and an 8. Cool. I've been successful. I've won. Now, things get a little bit complicated, as with everything, because I can't have nice things. it's how to balance these things out. 'Cause currently, there isn't really, because the dice pool is going to be composed solely of traits. What are traits? Traits are everything. Everything else. So, traits are going to be divided among two things, ship and self. Ship is their duty as a ship girl, and herself as a personality and skills. Alright, easy enough to understand. These are all represented in value from 0 to 5, representing the number of dice added when the trait becomes relevant to a role, which is also now going into the nasty world of dice pool bullshit, of narrative bullshit, which I am trying very hard to avoid. Because, guess what? I don't want to do that. Like, this is where things get a little bit complicated, because I'm trying to figure out a good way of doing this. And so far, there isn't. There just isn't any good way. It's combat 3, T6, rolling 5, 6, 4. She keeps 8, 6, and 4, scoring 2 hits, passing the check, also roll gotcha dice. Like, this is kind of the core of things, but I don't think something is working here. Because these are like some of the example traits would be like. You know, it's like, oh, you are a battleship. You have heavy armor, heavy guns, and 0 in torpedo tubes. Now we can buy those torpedo tubes, we can buy those heavy guns, we can buy heavy armor. That, but actually how to do that, this is where things get really complicated right down here. It's like, do they mean anything? I don't know. I've been trying to find a nice core system for this for about a week and a half now, and I haven't been able to find jack diddly shit. Because there just isn't. That just isn't, that isn't a thing. So I've been kind of flying blind. I honestly have been. I've been trying really fucking hard to make anything work, and I'm not confident I can because there's so much shit here. So, let's actually, I'm going to break this down a little bit. Let's go to Miro. But that's kind of what people are, like, wanting. Like, the general gist is like, oh, well, we want to keep things open. We want to keep things available for we can do whatever we want. But nobody ever understands that part when you're making a game, is that general systems are not easier to fucking do. Oh, give me a second. I gotta sign in the fucking Miro sign. Like, general systems have the disadvantage of lacking a lot of that meat to things in the back end, which can get real not fun. Wait a second, I can count. And, like, in an ideal world, let's see. Nope. Let's. There. So, I pretty much need to do both of these into this. That's where things get really really weird, which I'm not entirely sold on yet. So if we get rid of all of you, Waifucore game. So, Mechanizume. So, at its core, we need to have a system that accommodates tiers of play. I was flirting a little bit with Wrath and Glory a bit. Just because Wrath and Glory has the tier system in it, and I can't really find another game that does. And I was actually hoping someone actually would pop up here today just so I have ideas to bounce off of, because right now I'm It's not pretty. Let's just say that. Is this the... No, I don't... Is this the right version of this? No, I don't think this is the right version. Is this the right version? No, this is definitely the unright version. Yeah, this is very, very the unright version, so we need to use this one. Because, like, Wrath and Glory has the advantage of having tier systems. Now, those who don't know, effectively, everything is broken down into these tiers, which kind of give you a basic idea of your abilities and your comp. So, let's say, for example, we want to play a sister, hospitaler. Like, this is your tier, this is your species, how much XP it costs, here's all your keywords, all your attributes, your skills, your archetype ability, all your, how things are kind of... So it's pretty much something that you can just select and that's you. However, you can increase your rank to become something larger, to become better at it. You're becoming rank 2 or you're becoming rank 3. It's the slow burn of advancement that you get. Now, I had to actually make this go away because this system didn't fucking work for what I was needing. Mostly because, like, the trait system this game doesn't work for what I was going for. So I'm like, okay, this isn't working. Let's roll back. What do we have to work with? Now, I did actually end up looking... One of the original ideas was actually potentially making a overly complex, like a pretty much heavily expanded out OVA. The anime role-playing game. Now, one day I might look at OVA, one day I might not. But right now, this is what I was working with. I've got nothing to go off of with this game. And like the OVA system doesn't work for what I'm going with either because I already have an OVA system, but I can't use like smaller dice. Like that's just not really a thing I can really work with because I need to accommodate higher power levels, and there isn't really a good way of doing that. Like abilities, like this game would like in theory work pretty well for what I was going for. The problem is it doesn't really do power levels all that well. It just says do it. And like this is just what you have to work with. Like this is just what you have. You like it? This is it. Merry fucking Christmas. It's like, okay. OVA doesn't work, Wrath and Glory doesn't work. We gotta improvise. That's what we do best here. Isn't that right, folks? Actually, get my ass up there. A system that accommodates multiple tiers of play. I was debating on actually moving up currently to D10s. Mostly because D10s give me a little bit more leeway to work with. But like right now... Do we even commit to it being D8s? Yeah. I have like a little bit here, but these are just like guns, because I don't know how to even fucking handle guns yet. Like, I don't know. So, currently... so let's think. Actually, I'm just gonna dump out all my... You hear one sound of me dumping out all my dice. So let's take some D10s out of here, where all my D-fucking-10s go. Where are all my D10s? A bunch of D fucking 8s. Where are my D10s? Okay. 10 will, 4 will do. So, let's see, number simple mechanics. So we need to make sure that people are going to get their... We need to make sure people are going to get their waifu as fast as fucking possible, because people don't want to delay on getting their waifu, because if you're delaying on getting the goddamn waifu, what's the purpose of the game called Waifu Core? What's the point? Who cares? Clown. Ugh. So let's see. So we even want to do simple mechanics. So we can probably do a JTRPG design philosophy. Spell philosophy because I'm a fucking idiot. So if we go with the JTRPG design philosophy, we want characters to be pretty much front-loaded, which kind of leads like one of the bigger issues that I'm kind of dealing with is this is the game I have to work with. This is the only technical boat girl tabletop RPG out there currently. Is the Kantai Collection RPG back from 2000, I think like 15 or something. Like, this is an old fucking game. And it is using a, to quote, jank-ass fucking system. Mostly because you don't actually make any characters. You don't make any characters in this game. You take a pre-done character and you fill in like one thing. Some people really like that. Some people don't. You're just gonna have to deal with that, bitch. Like they don't even have all the characters. Like, some of them are like, feel like, here's a destroyer. You like destroyers? I like destroyers. Also because all the destroyers are fucking lollies. You just don't have any pants on. Yeah, you get some things where it's like, oh wow, look at all this look at all this options, but it's like most of the options you get are like this. Where it's like, where you make a firing check, make a check linked to a trait, it successfully scores special and firing check. You're pretty much emulating the fucking game. Which I'm like, okay, maybe the game has something to work with. The game doesn't. And in case this character sheet looks really familiar to you, the answer is because it is familiar. This is Sekiro Fiction, which is a game that is used in Shinobigami and a couple other games. And this is what you gotta work with. Here's the map, and you gotta get the map, and you gotta do all the things. Here's the actual like battle line system, which works similar to Shinobigami, but it also has all of these other mechanics on top of it, which is about emulating Kanko. And some people love this game, and some people don't. And you may be wondering, Notepad, why aren't you just using this one? And you know, the answer is because the people who even fucking play this game don't use it the way you're supposed to. They play their own way. Hence the entire reason I started this fucking project. Ugh. So, let's see. Okay, this isn't useful to me. So, we gotta work. Multiple tiers of play. The traits plus modifiers. Because we'd have to set up a number of traits that are just default, and what's stopping someone from maxing out some traits. They're always going to have to take X amount of traits. That's just going to be... Representing their duty as ship girl and the self's personality. Okay. As you can tell, the notes here are a little bit messy because it was literally just me typing things out as I went. A lot of the time, it barely works. Like, the issue, like, one of the major issues I'm having is right here. when it comes to the traits being really the only thing that has you do anything. It's like, oh no. Oh no. What do I do here? So, okay, so we want to do roll and keep dice pool. So I have an attribute of 3. I'm rolling 4 dice. Roll the dice. Cool. I'm going to take 1, 2, 3 of these dice and discard the other ones. Cool. I scored X amount of successes. That's fine. Unless you just want to do like a hit system. Not gonna fucking work. How would you do a hit system? Just make it an arbitrary amount, maybe? Like, if you roll a 5 or higher, you will always get a hit. But you're only taking X amount of dice. So it would be like, let's say we do 5 or higher, and we roll this with our 3, we would just take 3 successes. So you can only have like a maximum of that, no matter how many dice you roll. That's the core idea. If we do that, it would be 50-50 across the board for every trait. Or we can keep the threshold system in place, like right here. Because one of the things like I indirectly kind of noticed when I was writing the attributes, it's things like combat is how skilled, but high combat ship girls are hot-headed and quick to snap into action. Tradition, tend to be focused and stubborn and full of light, almost to the point of overbearing. What I was thinking about doing is pretty much have like a negative check that you have to do to pretty much force you to do a thing. So, for example, I'm a combat focused ship girl. I got a 4 in my combat. I'm really in there. And the GM says, okay, we're going to be making a threshold 5 reverse check though, for you to not get taunted by this person. You have to roll under. You need 2 successes by rolling under your skill amount. So it's like, okay, it's target number 4 suddenly becomes really hard. It's like, oh, okay, let's roll this. It's like, oh, I got a 7, 8, 7, and 9. No, that's a 1, thankfully. A 1 and a 9. These are my this is what I got. With my 4, I would have to take all of these. I would look at them and be like, well, that's a fail, that's a fail, that's a fail. And I only got 1 success because I rolled under that amount. Actually, that could work. Okay. It'd be a little bit narrative. Roll and keep dice pool. Then we split it up to, how do you want to even word this? Opposition checks. Opposition versus flow checks. Like go with the flow. I don't fucking know how you would do this. Which would be roll under threshold. Actually, roll under threshold. And flow checks would be roll over threshold. I don't know how I want to do that. That'd be really awkward. This is going to be, if this, I do go with this, it would be a really awkward system of doing it. Like, really fucking awkward. Welcome to Game Design, kids. This is what you gotta look for. Heart would need to be changed, though. I don't know what I would want to rename Heart to, though. Because Heart is pretty much how passionate you are. Maybe something like empathy? How? No, that wouldn't work. Pretty much, it's both in dread and confidence. How would you want to word that? It would be pretty much, I want to inspire my friends that way. I want to like, hinder my foes? Would that be an opposition check? How would you fucking do this? So let's put you up here for right now. We'll put, we'll call this the duality system. This is the duality method right up here. So simple method. Actually, we'll call this the simple method, which is at its core really fucking simple. Get X successes. Actually, roll over X. Roll over X. Score successes. Double value counts as two successes. So, for example, we want to do something like threshold 4. Threshold 4, I'm going to roll my d10, I score an 8. I'm going to have 2 successes there. That's it. That also means we can probably use the power levels would be a little bit... Power levels here aren't really going to be that big of a deal when we come to like this sheer dice ladder material. Shut the fuck up. Shut up, Mira. So, dice pools here wouldn't really matter as much, because if we look here, it would be like D12 to... D12 would be like roll under D12. It would actually be de-incentivized to go higher, because like D4, it's like, okay, I'll roll one or 2, or 3 or 4. Like, that's really not that complex. D12, it's the same thing, but it would be like 1 to 6, and then or 7 to 12. Like, the numbers get real big here. So however, here it would be this, like, you just score more successes based on how popular you are. We can probably do... So we're going to put you down here, because we're going to have to do the power level system. Power leveling shouldn't be that hard. This is even suggesting I want to stay with this system. The roll keep with an attribute system. Alternatively, we can go for, how do I want to do this? So if we do this, then we have the duality system right over here. You can just do a cumulative. Cumulative is an option, but I don't think cumulative is the right answer here. I honestly don't think cumulative is the right answer. I don't think it's the right answer because I need a method to represent health across different franchises. Because turns out, when you get hit by something as a fucking boat, you're going to fucking die. Because you're a boat. Like, boats can take a lot of punishment, but not actually that much. What am I going to do? I guess we can also use this system for the extremes. Duality system would also come with the idea that you can, like, fail a check, like, a lot more. Or we can do, so a simple method, roll over X score successes, double value counts as 2 successes. Yeah, I think that's... You are the bugbear, though, right there. Heart is the bugbear. The others make sense. Combat, hey, the higher your combat, the more fighty you get. Hey, tradition's great. Problem is, it's like really high tradition. You're gonna be focused and stubborn. How do you represent botches, though? Well, that's gonna be the gotcha dice, and the gotcha dice is just going to be a 1d20. Do I actually have any d20s that aren't my giant fuck off metal dice? Yes. Would be, let's say, I am rolling 4 d10 and my d20. I'm going to roll them all together. And look at here. I scored an 8, a 6, a 3, and a 6. 6, and I rolled a 2 on my Gatcha dice. Now, the Gatcha dice isn't going to do anything unless I roll a 20, which is a critical success, or a 1, which is a critical fail. You don't want to do either of them. You want to do, well, you want to do something like that. I think that's how we could probably interpret, like, really big successes and really big failures. It's entirely relying on, like, a d20 roll, so it'd be 5% either way. And we could probably put in a trait to augment that. Yeah, I'm going to have to make a decision here. The duality method would be technically more thematic, but thematics is kind of a difficult one here. Okay, so JTRPG design philosophy is going to be mostly built around the idea of traits. So, heal for 8 approaches. How many dice do we want to be rolling at any time? You can always roll up to your trait value. You can always roll up to your... Yeah, actually, that would be a terrible idea. Here's what we can do. So, actually, no, give me 1 second. So, traits are going to be broken up in between to the girl traits and the, what we're just going to call the thing traits. Thing traits. Girl traits have low mechanical density. They don't really mean that much overall, but can still contribute to different things, because we go down here and it's like, hey, I'm aggressive, or hey, I'm your Oni-chan, your tsundere, you know, German. Like, you have a little bit of leeway there. It's like self can be used for combat, but it's not like going to be there all the time. My only fear is that people are going to be like, what's your trait? Oh, my trait is combat ready. Combat ready 4. Which they're just going to build combat monsters right off the bat, because that's just going to be the incentivization factor. I don't really want that. Which, I kind of put a note here, you know, it also helps that combat trained really isn't a good trait, because, you know, guess what? You have less options outside of doing a thing. However, players are stupid. Like, overall, players are just fucking stupid. So, like, what would be some good... So, obviously, we have personality for our basic trait, for our girl traits. Personality, which is just demeanor and... Yeah, just demeanor. You can have max 3 of these. Yeah, which is personality is just your demeanor. This, how do you act around people? Actually, that's good. How do you, how do you act around people? So we also have quirk, which is pretty much just anything else. Brandenburg-chan here is aggressively racist because she participated in the Peking incident. Nationality shouldn't actually be too difficult. Actually, we can do, instead of nationality, we can do soul. Soul doesn't sound right. Nationality is the like the easiest. Actually, I know. Allegiance. Loyalty. Loyalty toward a faction or individual. So you could have like things like allegiance, Azur Lane. It'd be like allegiance, Azur Lane, if you want to do that, like Azur Lane 3. But you can also have allegiance, what is it, like Eagle Union, I think they're called. Yeah, the Eagle Union, Eagle Union too. Like, yeah, you're loyal to the concept of the Azerlane Alliance, but you're also kind of loyal to your own people, which you'd have to define those really damn good. So, personality, quirks, allegiances, we can actually do skills, natural abilities, actually, natural talent, actually talents, skills, and non-combat operations, and non-combat activities. Actually, I know we can call these hobbies. So let's say, it would be like hobbies, like archery, archery 4. So my hobby is like I shoot bows for fun, or it might be hobbies, cooking. What's cooking going to do? I don't fucking know. That's where things get a little bit complicated, is like, how do you incentivize people to take those kind of hobbies unless you call it as something a little bit broader, like a hobby title? That could work in theory. So it'd be like hobbyist cook has a little bit, like, this has a little bit more context behind things. So it'd be hobbyist and then a noun. Like, it's a cook. You are a cook. You are a florist. You are an archer. You are this. Like, you have a little bit rather than just like one thing. So it would be hobbyist. Quirk, personality. What would be some other good ones that would just like come to the top of my head? Oh, I know we can do like history. History is a pretty obvious one. Uh, historical events that the character faces. What would be some other parts of a character that aren't necessarily combat related? I feel like we need drawbacks. How do you put in drawbacks in this system? Penalty dice? No, that doesn't sound right. How do you put in drawbacks in a system like this? In a dice pool system? Maybe drawbacks take away dice? No, that doesn't sound right. Maybe they... You could argue that every single one of them has a... bloody hell. Okay, so... How do we want to handle this? How do we want to handle this? What would a drawback look like? Let's ask ourselves that. I am a limp leg. I cannot move very fast because my leg has been blown off repeatedly. How do you represent that on the table as a penalty? You don't. Or do you? Unless it's like a... I'm holding a D10 in my hand right now, just looking at it, just trying to get like an idea for what I'm going for here. Maybe it's like if you have drawbacks, you are adding it anyway to the pool, but then it's not really a drawback then. Unless you run interference on something. So what would happen if you're suffering from interference? You know, you have two things. You know, you have a trait that is interfering with the roll. Something as bad as I'm aggressively racist and I'm trying to convince someone that I'm not bad. How do I, come across as something positive? Well, the simple answer is that you take away dice. However, we also want to have an incentive to adopt these traits or have them there so people just aren't perfect. You have issues, you have problems, because that's what creates stories. Maybe they do play into it, but if they're running interference, they don't count. Or maybe they can only score one success, or maybe they score no successes. Fuck. Okay. Fuck. Okay. How do I do this? Hmm. So yeah, has something I can work with here. Let's try OVA penalty dice. Mario. I'm seriously just trying to find fucking anything on this, how to do this correctly. Because it doesn't feel like there actually is a good answer. Because we want to have a penalty here. We want to have something that we want to encourage people to have an issue, or they can gain issues. But what does that actually look like? Unless we just treat them as like a separate thing, but how do you integrate that? It's just like a flat penalty issue that they have to deal with? That could work. It's like it just takes away dice from the pool. As long as you have, like, okay. So if you have a penalty, you're just removing dice. So let's say I'm rolling four d10s right now. I have a penalty of 1. I'm going to take away one of my dice. I'm rolling 3 now. 7, 9, 4. Cool. That could work, but are you encouraged to take them unless you get some points back for it? That could work. So we want to do we'll call it a penalty. Issues or drawbacks. Issues or actually, we can do issues. How do we do an interference? You just want to add at them because it's not it's not interfering with you. So we're just gonna call them issues for right now. Issues. Character face. Problem with the character's faces. Reducing their dice pool. So if we go under this idea, and then all girl traits are roughly going to be broken down into this. And so let's see, personality, allegiance, quirks. Most characters are going to find about 4 quirks. Okay, so let's go to the thing so far. So the thing, on the other hand, is kind of the exact opposite. It's going to have high mechanical density, because there's going to be parts of this that matter. You have, things about you, the boat, that are important. Now, in here, we have all of our various boats. So, we're going to need our ship class, which is pretty much going to be our ship and its demeanor. In its demeanor, we're going to have cruisers, destroyers, aircraft carriers, battleships. And new pair, what about seaplane carriers? Take the seaplane carrier trait, dumbass. Or, take hangar class or something like that. And each of these are going to determine some basic things. So, what are some things we just need to put in? So, 1, we have to have armor. That's what we're going to do is we're going to break it down into light armor, light armor, medium armor, actually light armor, standard armor, and heavy armor. By default, cruisers are going to get standard armor. Actually, they're going to get heavy armor. Destroyers are going to get light armor. Aircraft carriers are going to get light armor. And battleships are going to get standard armor. Now, mind you, all of these are going to be at 0. So it's like, okay, I just have most basic light armor. If I select light armor 3, I'm going to be able to get that much light armor. The light armor isn't going to be as valuable. So what does armor do? So, armor. Light, standard, heavy. What does armor do? Armor contributes. Because this one was kind of an interesting question that got posed here. It would be like, how do you handle armor? And it's like, oh, it's, just make it like spaceship combat. I'm like, this isn't fucking spaceships. These are human-sized people. It's like, that don't fucking work. And this just doesn't fucking work the way that it should. Use armor as DR to have dice roll determine whether you hit something armored. Full DR rating used. Lightly armored. Unarmored. So sure, it ignores, like, immunity zones. But, like, yeah, this isn't... I can't really afford to do that. Because, again, we're dealing with people-sized things, which makes things really hard. Actually, click damage on more. If you were, for example, already fired all your tops, so other targets are missed. So actually, I'm gonna use armor as DR to have dice roll determine it's something armored. Wanted there. Okay, let's just do armor acts as standard. Actually acts as what we'll call exterior health. Exterior health that is reduced if they are hit. Now, what we can do here is we can make this a little bit interesting. But let's say we have like a big ass ship here. Big ass ship. Our big ass ship is going to have like 3 times the amount of armor, exterior health, because guess what? It's a big ass ship, but you have a lot more ability to actually damage it. So we have to deal with the fact that these are girls right now. Girls who happen to be boats. So, we have cruisers, battles, armor. So, what other things do we have? We have guns. The amount of tonnage. Actually, what we can do is the bringing you guns available for the ship girl to purchase, which we'll do light guns, standard guns, and then heavy guns. Because, and then we actually have to break these down into. Actually, we can do main batteries. Actually, how would you describe that? Battleship batteries. Nope. Cannons. Naval Gun Attachments. Largest gun on battleship. Japanese AP 1.1. Primary, secondary, torps. Torps A, you have different categories for each. Like, wheels equip light battleship guns, primary weapons carrier, light cruiser, most destroyer guns, a secondary. Okay, so these are going to be destroyer guns. Guns are on a destroyer. 5 inches. Actually, Notepad, you definitely know. You have something for this. You know you do. Open this up. This is one of the main reasons why like Cancol actually kind of made its way into my repertoire as much as it did, because medium caliber naval gun, secondary gun pursuit, Nika-chan center. So if we scroll down quite a bit, don't care, give me guns. Gimme guns. Gimme guns. Gimme guns. Guns. There we go, guns. So we could probably use these pretty reliably. However, doesn't anti-aircraft, medium caliber, not available to Congo class. What's the... So these just have accuracy improvements. It's twin mounted. So twin mounted looks like you trade in a little bit of accuracy for more firepower. Large caliber naval guns, twin mounted. Angle high mounts. Airstrike 2, Airstrike 3, torpedo bombers. Here's some zeros. Okay, so torpedo tubes in general. Autocannon mounts. Okay. So we use this. What actually we'll do is we'll do naval gun. We can break things down roughly into naval guns. From there, it would probably be anti-aircraft guns, which, like, a light gun for anti-aircraft would be like a fucking MG, while a heavy gun would be, like a fucking, like, autocannon. Like, they're going to be doing the exact same thing, but they're going to be a little bit different. The autocannon's going to give you some more options. Naval guns, anti-aircraft guns. What other guns can there be? So, not really anything else, because what you would want to do at that point, because a destroyer wouldn't have the tonnage properly to use any more than like 1 or 2 heavy guns. And at that point, it's not even worth it to have it, because you just want more firepower than having one gun that does one thing once and then have yourself get fucking annihilated because you're a stupid little destroyer. Tonnages is going to be a bitch. Actually reminds me, we'll do displacement, more tonnage. Actually, do we want to do tonnage? Yeah, we can do tonnage. So like tonnage, which is, more space for things, but useless trait. Like, tonnage isn't going to do anything for you. That's the issue with tonnage, is that it's doing nothing for you at a kind of like just a purely practical point of view. There's nothing you're getting from this. What you are getting, though, is more guns. So that's kind of the back and forth there. It's not flawless, but it should work in theory. So, obviously, we need torpedoes, torpedoes are going to be pretty easy to do, which is going, actually, we can probably do either number of torpedoes or heavier torpedoes. Actually, yeah, we can just do, more torpedoes available. But you need to buy torpedo pods. Actually, torpedo racks? What's the correct term on that? What's the correct torpedo tubes? Yeah. So you need torpedo tubes. The more you invest in that, the more you're going to be able to actually hit with them. The more torpedoes you're getting, the more things you're going to be able to work with. Why do I want to invest in that? Why would I ever do that? Well, you're doing it to fucking aim properly, so you can actually roll to fucking hit the thing. So you're not shooting torpedoes everywhere to hit nothing like a dumbass you are. You dumb tiny baby child. So, but torpedoes are actually not that complicated. Torpedoes are really complicated, but complicated in a different way. So if we use this, and then we need to do deck. No. Actually, we can do deck space. No. Tonnage would imply deck space because you're just investing in more shit. Bays? No, hangar. That's it. Then we'll do something like a hangar. Now we're gonna have the differences between, like hangars, which is just going to be more planes and how do plane, and then we can also do like things like types of planes available, which most of these are going to be completely reserved aircraft carriers. Like, that's going to be the one advantage of aircraft carriers, is that you're going to get a fuck ton of options with your planes, which you have a lot of control over. Which will probably be, so effectively, the dichotomy between the ship classes. Destroyers are fast maneuverable, but very fragile. Cruisers are heavy, slow, and heavy, slow, and durable. Battleships are kind of like the hybrid. They are pretty decent at everything. Aircraft carriers are pretty much summoners. Like, they are heavy support, very we'll call them fragile at best. Because the idea is you were playing an aircraft carrier because you want to be in fucking aircraft carrier and play like hardcore support from the back lines. But not saying you can't do that. Higher power levels, you're going to be able to kind of break out of your ship class a little bit easier because you'll be able to afford more things up here. Which I guess can actually play into the girl traits because you're not really enslaved to the boat down here. I wouldn't say because you could say that like because you're investing more in your traits here to allow you to do more things to influence these. These are very rigid. These ones are incredibly rigid, however. The benefit of being rigid is that you have kind of more defined options and you have to pretty much expend some tonnage to actually get what you want out of it. So you have to pay a cost here. You don't really have to pay the cost over here for the girl traits. So, okay. Oh, wait a second, I forgot to add. Engine speed. Okay, so got that. Smart tonnage. So what would a basic naval gun look like? I want to shoot someone with a heavy naval gun. So what we can do is effectively, if you're making an attack on someone, you're going to roll to hit. If you roll to hit, actually, I know I gotta add this before I forget. Roll and keep dice pool. What I'm going to call it here is we're going to call these dummy dice, which are going to be dummy dice. Dummy dice are, one rank lower, actually determined by PL, and choose up to the approach. Can choose up to approach not covered by traits. So if you have absolutely 0 traits that cover something, okay, let's say we're using D10s. Let's say we're using D10s here, and I have a 4 as my attribute, but I only have 2 D10s to actually roll. I just don't have that much. What I can do is I can instead pull 2 D8s out. And then roll them together. I'm not going to have as higher chance to do things with the D8s. I can't get you can't get a roll of 10 on a D8. What you can, however, you have something to work with. But when you're dealing with lower power level things, that's where things are a little bit complicated because it's like, well, I have a D4. It's like things are going to get a little bit more rough for you if you have lower power levels. So roughly speaking, this should be fairly easy to establish. Dummy dice from the PL can choose up to approach, not covered by traits. So now we gotta do the power level calculations. So because everything is going to be based around a power level system, which is going to determine pretty much the amount of shit you get and how fast. We always want characters to have minimum, let's say we want a minimum of 3 traits. So like if we have a minimum of 3 traits, I'm trying to plug the number. So PL1, we're naturally going to have 3 traits. Like that's just like right off the bat, we're going to have 3 traits. That's just mandatory. So if we can go at like PL2, PL3, PL4, PL5, and PL6. Actually, no, let's go to this PL5. That's going to be our kind of our cap for ourselves right here, PL5. So if we do this, then if we do like traits, 4 traits, 5 traits, 6 traits, this isn't going to work because that's too many traits, and 7 traits. Maybe do something like 3, 3. Ooh, actually, we can do 3, 3, 3 because we can do a girl trait. Actually, we can do, it would be self traits and soul traits. Actually, we'll just call them ship traits as of right now. So 3, 3 traits, 4, 3 traits, 5, 4 traits, 5, 6, 4 traits, and 7, 5 traits. If we do that, you have a little bit less room to maneuver for your actual ship, but that should be fine. Really that fine, because you're gonna need to see, like you, so actually, fuck. One trait will always be boats. It will always be ship class. If we establish that right off the bat, we need to make sure. So maybe we do something like 4, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6. 6 though, unless we want to do like 4, 4, 5, 5. If we do 4, 4, 5, 5, that means you can have the option, a little bit more options up here. But what are you going to even fucking spend it on? More tonnage, maybe? So you just want to keep it 4 across the board. Because if we keep it 4 across the board, that means you'd effectively be able to pick 3. You would choose yours, and then you'd pick 3 from this list. So you'd pick 3 from the list here. So we already have our ship class. You'd be able to pick more armor, some more heavier naval guns, maybe some anti-aircraft guns, some tonnage, torpedo tubes, hangars, or more engine. As of right now, you're going to get 3 of those. And then you're going to get 3 of these. But your ship class also counts, unless we want to make ship class its own unique thing. I need a beer. What I need. Let's see. It's 6 o'clock. Let's think. Let's think. Because I can see it. I can see it in my head. Because you're going to have all these different types of guns. Since you're having all these different types of guns, you're going to need a method to use the said guns. If you don't have a method to use the said guns, you can also select it. You can just get higher quality guns. That could work. So you're pretty much just investing in higher quality or upgraded versions of the same guns. So I'm going to need a fuck ton of equipment. Holy fuck, I'm going to need a lot of equipment. But let's take a step back. I want to do... I want to make Strike Witch's game in the future. What do I want to do with this? If I'm using Waifu Core and you want to make girl who happen to be plain, how do we do that? So you have all your girl traits, and then you're also going to select all your plain traits, and all your plain traits are going to look roughly the same. How do we deal with higher power levels, though? With higher power levels, you're going to be investing more into individual skills, but it's also going to... but that's not going to work. But maybe engine... Do we... Okay. Let's think. Let's think real fast. Let's make a wild big. Ah, fuck. Let's think. Is being what you are important? The fact that I am a battleship, is this important to me? Yes, it is important. Why is it important, though? Why is it important? It is important because it gives context to your actions as well as determine what your initial set of abilities are. So it's too important to be just a trait. So we regulate ship class to be its own thing. However, if you want to design a specific ship class, you're going to have to do that. So if we take away the basic ship class, we make that more of like a class. That could work later on because let's say for strike witches, for example. If we're using strike witches as an example, you can break it down into, well, I'm a light fighter, I'm a heavy fighter, I'm a attack bomber, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. You have a little bit more room to maneuver there. All right. Girls front line, how do we do that? Well, you're going to be exactly what your type of gun is. You're going to be a rifle, handgun, shotgun. I don't really know if you'd want to do that. It would be assault rifle, shotgun, handgun. Yeah. Okay. Kind of determining how that works. You'd probably want to break it down to the class even. Further divided from there. But for right now, I think it's too important to select what it is, because that's going to determine your initial spread of things. By virtue of selecting, I am a battleship, you're going to be getting a plethora of like pretty much inbuilt traits. They're not going to be good. You're only going to start at 0. It's going to be inbuilt traits that allows you to actually do things with it. And then you're going to be able to select your own traits on top of that. Or is that how it works? Son of a bitch. Fuck. Okay. Is that important? The answer is, I don't know, because there isn't a right answer. And because there isn't a right answer, I gotta think of a right answer. So, aircraft carriers are going to have natural advantages. They're going to start with X. They're going to start with X. By virtue of selecting aircraft carrier, we're going to have X, Y, and Z. By virtue of selecting a destroyer, you're going to have X, Y, and Z. So we would need to define each of them. We can define each of them relatively simply. So it would be like we can just make a quick thing about them. As a destroyer, you're going to have light guns. Like that's what you're going to be kind of restricted to unless you take a heavy gun trait. If you take the heavy guns trait, yeah, you have access to heavy guns. Now the problem is they're really fucking expensive. When you select your destroyer, you're going to have a set amount of tonnage. You're going to have a set speed. You're going to have a set. Do I want to put in profiles? Fuck. I don't know. Let me think about it. And by think about it, I mean I'm going to go to the gentleman's quarter real fast. Fraggle Rock. Ugh. Okay, I just took a big shot of Canadian whiskey. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. We need to give them free traits. We're gonna do that by breaking them down to our ship class. So ship class is gonna be independent. So effectively, this is going to be its own thing. Ship class is going to determine about. We'll call it. We'll roughly say about 3 different traits. I don't. Wait. What? What? Why are you this way? Wait a second. Always hate it when this happens. 1.5. I actually don't. I always hate it when it does this. Why? I know what it's doing. It's trying to break paragraphs apart. I don't want to do that. I want to do... Move a space before paragraph. Get there. Okay, so... This is going to be its own thing. So these are pretty much going to give... So this is going to be giving pretty much... We'll roughly call it, quote, 3 free trades. Starting at 0. Okay. So, if we have to make this, what we're going to do is... Our ship is going to have to be its own independent goddamn thing, so... So, we're effectively going to have to make a class system. Class system for 3 to 4 free. We'll call it 3 free traits. For, tied to class system. So if we use this idea, this number quickly becomes 7 traits. So actually what we want to do is something like 3. We can probably even do something like 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. Because this would soon become 5 traits. This becomes 6 traits. Then this would become 7 traits. If I can actually spell correctly, this would become 7 traits. Because then, at this point, our character is more defined here. Like we understand a little bit more about her. Let's actually bump this up a little bit. Let's do something like this. 4, 4, 5, 5. 4, 4, 5, 5, 6. So... This is the highest echelon you're going to be getting. PL5 is like really overpowered. So we'll do number of traits. Because ship class is just too important for that. So we're going to need a class system. So we're going to need, we'll say number of trait points. The calculation I did in the prelim document. Calculation I did was PL times X. So I did pretty much, I think it was like we're doing PL2. It was PL4, so everything's gonna be this 4 times this. So 224. We're... Ooh, this is... So, if we do this, PL1, PL2, PL3, PL4, PL5, we're going to call this, actually, just for reference's sake, PL2 is what we're going to call Kantai Collection. You're pretty much doing boat stuff. PL4 is Azur Lane. You're pretty strong, but not like, I'm going to bend reality to my fucking whim strong. Like, you aren't, like, all-encompassing Superman. Like, this is the rough look of things. So, number of trait points. How do we want to do this? So we have 5 traits, and we want the average to be about 2, probably. So we can probably do... PL, and actually if we do times 5, that would be, so actually we can do, if we do 8, 8, this would mean an average of 2 points for every single one of the self traits, and about 1.75 roughly for this. Most likely people would probably do their own thing with it though, so then we could do like 10, 10, 12, 12, 14, 14, 16, 16. If we do something like this, by PL5 you've doubled this, so even here, but you have 16 traits, 16 divided by 6, that would be about 2. Little over 2. So there actually isn't that big of a jump. Like PL4 would be PL4 would probably be like the biggest amount of like traits per, but you also just get more traits to work with. Unless we want to do something, but you're also going to have a lot more traits on this side. By here, it would only just be 2. Here, it would be 2. Here would be less than 2, actually. So, actually, less than 2, 2, about, and then it'd be a little bit more than 2. So, maybe we bump this up to 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. 18 distributed among 7 traits. 2.5. 2.5, but most likely we're probably going to see about a 3s. We're going to see some higher, we're going to see some extreme highs and some lows. So your dice pool is roughly going to be probably about 4, 5. Okay, so I think I'm okay with this. So, which reminds me too, we want to do approach scores, PL1, PL2, PL3, PL4, PL5. What did I do in the prelims? What did I do in the prelims? Hippity hoppity hippity doo. What the fuck did I do in the prelims? So, PL4, which as earlier would be about 8 approaches. Okay, I know we gotta bump that up a little bit. So, let's do... So, we got 3. We can probably make this 6 and then bump it up from there. Like 6... Actually, we can do 6, 6, 7, 7, 7, 7, 8. Because you're going to have one that's going to be probably over favored, unless we do something like 6, 6, 7, 7. I will need to have someone to make me a character to... Okay. So 7 divided among 3 would be a little over 2 for each. But most likely we'd see... Minimum we'd see 3, 2, 2, then it would be 5, 1, 1, 4, 3, it would be 3, 3, 3, 3, 1. I'm trying to think of all the variations. 222 would be 6, so 223, 223, 331, 421, 511 would be the possible variations. So with 5, you would end up with one. It would be 221, 311. Yeah, you just have two options pretty much, and you'd only be able to take two. Fuck, that's not gonna work. Unless we want to do something like 6, 6, 6, 7, 7, like 7. Maybe do 8, 8, 8, 8, 10 for the highest, because then the approach it would be 10, so it would be 3, 3, 4 would be 1. 5, 4, 1. 3, 5, 2. 2, 3, 5. Yeah, okay. PL5 just being the absolute ramp up in power. So we want to do, we're aiming for PL3 right now. That's going to be our ideal, like, set numbers right there. I don't think it'll be perfect, but I think it'll work. So, we're using this concept. What am I looking at? What am I looking at? Something is adding up. What is this hell? Oh, sweet fucking Christ almighty. What do I do with my life? Oh, God, what am I looking at? I can see what I want. Okay. So it would be, we have all our personality quirks. We have this tonnage. Tonnage wouldn't be what we're looking for. Tonnage would be based on the ship. So if we go into the idea that tonnage is based on the ship, probably we'll have to do cost as well, I guess. What other thing? Actually, we'll do power level die. We'll actually do dice. This is going to be important, actually. So PL1, PL2, PL3, PL4, and PL5. So the easiest answer would be this: D4, D6, D8, D10, D12. This is, however, fucking stupid. So we need to do something like, probably like this. Like 1, 2, and then kind of like PL3 being kind of like the gap in between going up the 10s. You're having a larger range of things, which you're also making things a little bit easier for yourself in the long run. Because these guys, your panic dice are going to be fucking 4. They're going to be D4s are going to be your panic dice down here, which kind of makes me want to do like D6, D8, D8, D10, D10. Or do we want to do something like this? But D12s are really awkward to use, and I don't really want to use D12s. So let's do D8, D6, D8, D8, D10, D10. D12s will be reserved for kind of like damage stuff. So these are going to be the dice we're going to be using, and that does mean D4 will be our panic dice, D6s will be our panic dice here, and then D8s will be our panic dice down here. So here's where our dice pools are roughly going to be looking like. It's going to be composed for a higher level. It's going to be PL. It's going to be D10s and D8s mostly. That's what most of our dice pool are going to look like. So okay, I think this kind of determines everything. We need to have a lot of options when it comes to boats and stuff. We can make that work. So. System that accommodates multiple tiers of play. So what we need to do is it will probably by Friday. My goal is I'm going to see if I can't write down. So if we do that. Here. So if we do something like this, the traits are going to be our main thing. We're going to get pretty much 3 free traits from our class, which is going to help us determine a lot of things, the mechanical density of our things. Okay, so like just going off pure inertia and logic. So first off, step 1, determine power level. This is going to give us an idea of kind of like the range of importance of things. So overall, we're going to need our character. So we'll do a basic check is going to be pretty much roll trait dice plus we'll call them what do we want to call it? We'll call them right now. I'll just call them dummy die. Dummy die plus modifiers. I'm going to use the Shadow of the Demon Lord method. If you have a penalty, you're just going to take away a dice from the top, starting with dummy dice. You're just going to take away a set of dice that you just no longer possess. If we go with that method. I don't know, though. You'll roll trait dice plus dummy die plus modifiers. And then score equal to... Then score equal or above. Equal to or above target number. Well, it's called, threshold number. Opposed check. It'd be traits plus dummy plus mods. Mods versus traits plus dummy plus mods. What's an attack check look like? Actually, so okay. If we use this as like the most basic concept, roll trait dice plus dummy dice plus modifiers and add up hits. So let's say we're doing PL4. We'll do PL4. I'm gonna grab a couple of my D10s here. We'll grab some D8s just to make sure that we understand what we're rolling. Let me just fucking yeet one of my dice. And I'll use my meaty D20 for this. So, let's say we're going to need to make a threshold 4 check. Actually, let's make it simple. Threshold 5. 5 or high, 5 plus, I am successful. That is it. Actually, it'll be 6 plus. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 6 up. That's all I got to score. 6 up on my dice. Actually, no, it'd be 5. Threshold 5. 5, 4, 3, 2. Yeah, that should work. Okay, so, and I have a trait that is 3. So, and then that means I'm going to have 2 dummy dice. I have no mods. So, take my 3d10. I'm going to take my 2d8. And I have a, let's say, we'll call it a approach. We'll say approach of 4. Actually, approach of 5. So I'm going to roll this. The GM says you need 2 successes to pass. I'm like, alright, roll all these. Cool. I got a 6, a 5, a fucking 1, a 10, and a 4. So, I have 3 successes because I got over. Since it's 5 up as well, I scored 2 successes. So it's technically 4 successes. So let's roll a d20 dice. I got an 8. I got nothing on my Gatcha dice. So I scored my 3 successes. I am successful. Same thing. I have an opponent though. My opponent is going to be rolling 3d10. I'm going to be having to roll only a 1d10 and 2 d8s. Let's see. I scored a 6, 7, 6. They scored a 2, 10, and 2. We can probably do like a default check was 5 for opposed checks. Opposed check, traits plus dummy plus traits plus mods. TN5. TN5 is going to be the majority of the case because it's just like how many people score a 5 or higher, that's a success. If nobody scores 5 or higher, you both suck. So technically, I scored a 2 successes here. 3 successes here. So technically, I have beat the person who rolled only d10s using my shittier dice because I just rolled better. Not gonna roll this. I rolled a 10 on him, and I rolled a 5 on me. So nothing happens in the Gatcha dice. The Gatcha dice isn't going to happen very often. But it's kind of that idea of it is explosive when it fucking does. Which is actually probably a trait I could add, so... That's going to have to be something which I'm actually going to... Do we want to put that under... Oh, I think we'll put that under ship. We'll call that just luck. Luck increase threshold of Gatcha by 1. Increase threshold by Gatcha by 1. Now, what that means is... If I roll a 1 or 2, I critically fail. If I roll a 19 or 20, I critically succeed. You're just increasing the threshold. You're increasing the value of your Gatcha dice. It's luckier, but it's also higher chance of fucking up. Actually, we can probably do... Yeah, we'll just make luck, and then just increase Gatcha die by 1. So it would be 20, 19, 18, 17... So if we start with 20 is 0, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15. So up to 5, you'd have 15 effectively. 15 or higher, you get a critical success. And then we can also use that as an unlucky thing. All right. Okay. All right. I think this is working now. I'm feeling a lot more confident on this. Feeling a lot more confident. Because if we're going off of this idea, everything should, in theory, work correctly. Yeah, okay. Okay. I think this is going to work. This is going to be the hard part down here, is getting everything in order. But I think if we do things right, this shouldn't be too difficult to do. This shouldn't be too difficult as well. So now we just need to make a decision here of... Do we want to go with the duality method, or do we want to go with the simple method? I'm leaning toward the simple method just because it seems easier, though duality method is a little bit more nuanced. This has been done before. I haven't really seen this done well. But sometimes that's not always the best option. So, okay. So these are the current 2 methods. We will need to make a success system, and I will worry about that later. So, alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to call it here for today. I'm feeling pretty decent. We're doing pretty hot. I mean, it's not looking perfect, but we're looking decent. And we are moving in a place where I think we can make this work properly. So one of the big things what we're going to be dealing with is that the main game is going to be taking place around here, PL3, because I want to give people the idea of like, this is what an average game is going to look like. Its power level 3 is not Kantai collection tier, nor is it Hazard Lane crazy bullshit tier. It's like boat girls doing boat girl things. Fuck you. So, alright, we can make that work. I'm thinking this should work pretty smoothly. Alright, alright. This is going to need... I'm working, but I think I know how to do it. Torpedo tubes ain't going to be too difficult. So, like, all of this, I'm feeling pretty good with. Heart, I'm not 200% on. I don't know how I want to word that. And, like, I like the idea. Here's the thing. I like the idea of you having to deal with the onslaught of, hey, I'm like this, I have my problems, and I'm going to kind of succumb to my issues. I think that's going to be, that could be interesting from a storytelling perspective. I do not think I can pull it off here, though. I really don't think I could pull it off. And I think it's just because it's a little bit more awkward to do it, and I would need something better here. But I think I could probably pull it off. But it would have to be kind of a... I would need to go in there saying, this is what I'm going to do. This one, it's kind of like, little bit odd. Here, I'm actually going to rename this. Deep Blue Girls is what the Deep Blue Girls is what the main title is going to be, and it's going to be using the Waifu Core system. Waifu Core isn't like a final name or anything. That's just what it is. And in theory, what you should be able to do is, I want to run a thing. I want to run a thing where girls are X, and then you'd be like, yeah, okay, just choose that, write up some traits. Write up some traits here, and you're pretty good. Like, you already have all the systems in place for it. You would just need to kind of do some footwork there. It's like, the only difficult, like, really complicated part with this one would be kind of like as complicated as you would want it to be. As it's like, if you want this section to be really complicated, then yeah, this can get really complicated. But if you don't want it to be, it doesn't really have to be. It's mostly just a series of acquisition. The rules of acquisition. I want to do girls that are spaceships. Yeah, fuck it. Do this. Then it'd be just changing the name of things. So, okay, I'm feeling pretty good. What else do I want to go over? Oh, yeah. Actually, do we have anyone? Nope, responses. Yep, that's fine. And we want to do forms. Now, getting the Google Forms is a bitch to do. Fun fact. So we want to do that. We want to go to Google Forms. Let's look at the current notocratic voting. Now, notocratic voting is very important. This is what's deciding of what's next. Now, I had to do it through here because straw poll broke, actually. So, currently, this is a lie. It says Oji-san Demon Slayer Corporation is the head of the corpse pile. That is incorrect, actually. On Patreon, hey, let me just open up Patreon real fast because I like. Let me just ruthlessly shill myself real fast. You guys should totally back me. Will I be able to get onto Patreon? Oh, wait, give me 1 second. Hello, phone. You gotta do the two-factor authentication. If you don't do two-factor authentication, it gets really mad at you. I'll do this later. It doesn't feel like... You put in your one thing. This isn't actually correct. The one guy who is actually donating $5, thank you to all my loyal patrons, I love you all. The guy who's voting $5 actually voted for Dark Corners and Old Tome, so technically this is in the lead by 2 votes. So, get on there if you want to see something different. And in other news, let's see, things Notepad Anon wants to do. So if you go to things Notepad wants to do, overall things are looking pretty much the same. Where did that? I think I added one. Did I? No, I don't think I did. Yeah, I don't think I did. So things are looking pretty solid across the board. So this Friday is when we will officially begin Waifu Core. How long will Waifu Core take? I have no idea, genuinely speaking. I don't think it's going to be that long, though. Like, overall, I do not actually believe Waifu Core is going to be a long game. I think it's going to be a time-consuming game. I think there's going to be a lot of Waifu Core to write, but I don't think it's going to be like a, here's a 3-month odyssey of writing this thing. No, I don't think that's going to be the case, just because its nature is it's a generic system. It's going to be like how fast I wrote Tainted Blood, the Redux of Tainted Bloodline. Tainted Bloodline was going to be a fairly complex game. That took me, I think, like 6-7 episodes last time to write. I did it in 3. I did it in effectively about 5 hours, with very little in the way of difficulty, just because I had already pre-written everything. But this entire section's been kind of odd in that regard. You know, just games that, like, I knew they weren't going to be very long. Like, Iron Hunter's, like, the only, like... Iron Hunter's the only real disappointment of the entire endeavor, just because there just wasn't really... No part of Iron Hunter really felt like working properly, and that video should be up soon. I'm going to try to get that done by the end of the day. As an update as well, just because I don't forget any of my projects that I've committed to, unfortunately. Fleshmech Annihilator had made decent progress, not good progress, decent progress. Currently, character creation is done. Like, that's the big thing. Character creation is done. We have quite a few different antibody abilities for you to kind of indulge in, allow you to hurt other people with, because you are a psychopathic monster of death and destruction. And I also have some weapons set up. Like, character creation is done. Like, you can make a character right now. And that's good. Like, this is fine. Like, you can make a character in Fleshmech Annihilator. However, Fleshmech Annihilator just needs a lot more of the back-end stuff, which is going to be the thing that's going to take the most amount of time. By far. That's just a known fact, because of what this game is based off of. It has a lot of back end to worry about, and that's the biggest issue with it. There's a lot of back end, there's a lot of things that I just have to, like, sit down and do, which are very dull and very time consuming. You know, this is based off a game that took me like eight episodes and like way too many hours, just because there's so much little stuff. Luckily, it's a lot of just adapting rather than doing anything with it. So it shouldn't be too difficult. That was actually, because I was working on this, is the reason why Striker Z wasn't on the list. Striker Z wasn't on the list because I want to get Fleshmech Annihilator to work. If Fleshmech Annihilator works and I can do it, I can shift into Striker Z with no problem, and then it's just going to be me ripping through Striker Z. But it's like, I need to get this done. Once this is done, I feel a lot more confident. So, thank you all. My name is Notepad Anon. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll catch you all on Friday, hopefully. And from there, we will, God help us all, be working on our waifu adventures. So, thank you, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Oh yeah, I should also mention that there is a sex pest among tabletop RPG people on Twitch. That's fucked. That's really fucked up. Don't do that. Rest assured, everyone, I'm not that kind of guy. I don't interact with women. I write tabletop RPGs for God.